By the early 20th century, the British Empire in India operated as a massive extraction system, its mechanical roots digging deep for wealth and resources. This line graph shows the rising cost of basic goods as World War I drained imperial coffers. Between 1913 and 1918, the price of survival for everyday Indians doubled. The empire also required manpower. Village men were subjected to forced recruitment, compelled by colonial authorities to serve as soldiers in distant European trenches. These hardships were compounded by consecutive crop failures and a global influenza epidemic. By 1921, the census recorded over 12 million people dead from famine and disease. This overlapping devastation turned individual suffering into a shared bond of oppression, priming the entire country for a unified mass movement. Mahatma Gandhi returned to India in January 1915, bringing a tested methodology for political protest he had developed in South Africa. He called it Satyagraha. It was an active search for truth that used nonviolence as a weapon of resistance, forcing the oppressor to confront the reality of their injustice. The logic was structural. British rule only survived because Indians cooperated. By removing that support, in schools, courts, and offices, the entire colonial apparatus would cease to function. A satyagrahi avoids physical vengeance, choosing instead to appeal directly to the opponent's conscience until they are persuaded to see the truth. This strategy empowered every social class to participate, giving a population of victims the means to dismantle an empire. In 1919, the British passed the Rowlatt Act, a repressive measure allowing the government to detain political prisoners for up to 2 years without a trial. Tensions peaked on April 13th, when thousands gathered at Jallianwala Bagh for a wanted to produce a moral effect. He intended to use terror to shock the population into total submission. Instead, news of the massacre triggered immediate protests across North Indian towns. Thousands joined the formal launch of the non-cooperation movement. The urban middle class led the way. Students left government schools, lawyers abandoned their practices, and foreign cloth was burned in public bonfires. The attempt to paralyze the public with fear backfired, creating a unified resistance that crossed previous social boundaries. By 1930, the movement escalated from withdrawing cooperation to actively breaking unjust laws, a campaign known as civil disobedience. Gandhi chose salt as his primary target, finding a powerful symbol that could unite a deeply divided society. This diagram shows why salt worked. It is a biological necessity for every person, meaning the colonial tax impacted every class and religious group simultaneously. The British monopoly used this mineral to extract revenue directly from local households and move it into the imperial treasury. Gandhi's 240-mile march to Dandi turned the simple act of boiling seawater into a nationwide demonstration of colonial defiance. By weaponizing a basic element of survival, the movement proved the British were losing their grip on the daily lives of the Indian people. Beyond political protests, leaders worked to build a shared cultural imagination of the Indian nation among populations across thousands of miles. Nationalist historians and writers revived traditional folklore and ancient achievements to restore a pride systematically damaged by the colonial state. They personified the nation through Bharat Mata. Shown here dispensing learning and food, this maternal icon gave diverse populations a common figure to protect. Shared symbols like the spinning wheel provided a unified visual identity, representing self-reliance for a movement that stretched across regional borders. These cultural processes rewired the boundaries of local communities into a singular national consciousness. This unity was never simple. The movement contained internal friction as different groups debated their vision of a free India. Dalit leaders fought for social equality, while figures like Muhammad Iqbal advocated for structural political protections and separate electorates for Muslims. The final breaking point came in 1942 with the Quit India Resolution, demanding an immediate and total British withdrawal. Ordinary students, workers, and peasants joined the struggle on a massive scale, bringing the colonial state machinery to a complete halt. The modern nation of India emerged through the collective sacrifices and relentless defiance of millions of people who refused to be governed from afar.
Think.